Hey guys, what's up, Cardfight here, and today I'm here with an updated Scharhrot deck profile. So let's get right into it. Since you guys voted for this one, it appears this one is voted for the most, but I think Gold Paladin is a close second, so I'll probably do Gold Paladins next. Yeah, so let's get right into the deck profile. I'm running Ordanas as the starting Vanguard, so its skill is Generation 1, kind of lost 1. Move this card to a soul, and then soul charge 2. If you have 6 or more soul, then you can draw a card. So he's pretty good for some early soul charging. And 3 soul is actually quite a bit, and helps you quite a bit. And drawing an extra card also helps. So it's just a pretty solid overall starting Vanguard. Next, we're running 2 Enigmatic Assassin. This is a grade 0, and it came out in GBD07. So her skill is, I'm pretty sure it's a she. It might be a he though. I don't know. Japan always like to trap people. Anyway, so her skill is, activate some soul darkness. At the beginning of your attack step, if you're 10 more soul, then you can call this card to a rearguard circle. And then during this turn, this card gets plus 5,000 power. And if you have 15 soul or more, this card gets plus 10,000 power. So it can be a 20k booster, which is pretty strong. It also combos pretty well with the rest of the deck. So that's why we're running 2 of her. Some people might ask, why don't I just run Enigmatic Assassin as the starting Vanguard? And that's because she's not a forerunner, so she doesn't come out of the soul. So in the beginning, you might be at a disadvantage if you don't have a booster to attack with, so since you need to commit the board with an extra card, and that's not very nice since if you don't have a booster, your opponent can just tank a guard for no pass everything, and you don't want that. So we're running Ordanas instead. So we're running 3 grade 0s that aren't triggers, but yeah, it's gonna be worth it in the end because make some pretty big plays later on. Anyway, we're running play 3 is running 4 Scharhrot Vampir. So the skill is Generation 2 during this turn. If you're during a turn, if you have 6 or more soul, then this card gets plus 10,000 power. And if you have 10 or more soul, this card gets plus 1 critical. So not bad for a GB2 skill. Second skill is kind of lost 1 during this turn. If a G unit stress out of this card, you can pay the cost. If you do, soul charge 2, and then your Vanguard gets a new skill. And the new skill is when this card attack hits, if you have 6 or more soul, your opponent chooses one of the rearguards and retires it. So it's quite good. But this deck, we're running a lot of grade 3s. Well, 3 different kinds of grade 3s. So he's the first ride you want, but you don't always want to stay in him. There are occasions where riding into a different Vanguard, it might help you. So we're running 2 Glenzen Vampir. Skill is Generation 1, Darkness. Choose a card from your hand or a rearguard with Darkness ability and put it in her soul. And then at the end of the turn, if you have 6 or more soul, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, and if you have 15 soul or more, then you can countercharge 1, and then choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. His second skill is kind of lost 1. When this card is placed on a Vanguard or rearguard circle, you pay the cost. If you do, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose a card with Darkness. Choose up to 5 cards with Darkness, with cards with Darkness ability, and put in your soul, and then put the rest of the cards to the bottom of your deck. And then during this turn, this card gets plus 1,000 power for every card you put into soul with this card's skill. So he's pretty good at looking for enigmatic assassins and other things that you might want to put in your soul, just to build up your soul. And his first skill is also not bad. If you don't want to run this other card I'm running next, you can run 4 of him. It's perfectly fine. I guess I just like running some tech cards to be a little safer late game when people try to stall you out, because people like to stall out Dark Irregular since they tend to deck out. But with him, Bladewing Sullivan, we have access to the Stride, so that makes things a little safer for you. And his first skill is also not bad. I already made a Bladewing deck profile, so don't need to explain too much about him. He's just a very good card for Dark Irregulars. Very defensive card. It's pretty good at turtling. Grade 2 is running 3 Flying Librarians, so Flying Librarian is a promo, and her skill is Generous Pick 1, kind of lost 1. When this card's played on Vanguard Circle, you may pay the cost if you do. Soul Charge 2, and then if you have 6 or more soul, draw a card. And if you have 10 or more soul, then you can counter charge 1. Or unflip 1 damage, because she doesn't have the errata yet. But, yeah, she's a pretty good card. Pretty much a free card if you have a lot of soul in your hand, a lot of soul. So, free draw and free counter charge. Or not free counter charge. You're counter charging the kind of blast that you paid for, but you get free soul charge and a free draw. Next, running for Demented Executioner, I think his name is. Yeah, Demented Executioner. Skill is once per turn, Darkness, kind of lost 1. If you have 6 or more souls during this turn, this card gets plus 2,000 power. And if you have 10 or more soul, then this card gets plus 3,000 power more. So it becomes a 14k attacker if you have 10 or more soul. And second skill is when this card's placed on a Vanguard Circle, you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck and then search for a card with Darkness ability and put it in your soul and then shuffle your deck. So when you call this, you can potentially search for an enigmatic assassin. So that's pretty good. And this deck, it doesn't focus on mass slow charging like how Doctor Regulars used to do things. This deck kind of is more focused on getting more useful things into your soul. Well, not useful things, but more your flow of soul charging is a lot more controlled and gentle, I guess. Since when you hit 15, you're pretty much set, so you don't need to get more than that. We're not running Doreen in this deck, but so we don't need to just soul charge to build up power. Instead, we have other things. So I'm running 4 Scharhrot Vampir. Skill is Generous 1, Darkness. When this card attacks, if you have 6 or more soul, then during this battle, this card gets 5,000 power. And if you have 15 or more soul during this battle, your opponent cannot call grade 0s to the Guardian Circle. From the hand, grade 0s from the hand to the Guardian Circle. So, card restricting, he's very helpful, and he combos extremely well with Enigmatic Assassin. You can use him to help your to waste some Perfect Guard Gs, to waste some G Guardians out of your opponent's hand, or Perfect Guard Gs if they don't have G Guardians. So it makes your strides a lot more powerful that way. So yeah, it's a pretty good card. Next, running 4 Stride Fodders, just cause. I have a lot of experience when I slow charge a lot of my grade 3s in there, so it's best to maximize the amount of chances you can stride. So yeah. Next, we're running 4 Serpent Charmer. He's another fail-safe, but since he has the Darkness ability, there's a lot of chance that you might pick him as a target to shove in your soul for your Darkness soul chargers. So his skill is Darkness. When you have 10 or more soul, he gets plus 2,000 power. And if you have 15 or more soul, he gets a new skill. And that new skill is retire this unit. At the end of the turn, you might pay the cost. If you do, keep 13 cards in your soul and put the rest into back in your deck and shuffle. And yeah, as you can see, he's a failsafe, and it's also a 9k booster, which is not bad. So yeah, helps your Magic Librarian hit for better numbers. Next, running the new Perfect Guard from GPT-08. So her skill is, well, she has the Perfect Guard skill, but she doesn't help you on flip. Instead, she has the Darkness ability, which activates from Soul. Her ability activates from Soul, and the cost is to retire one of your grade 2 or grade 1 or lower rear guards. So you retire one grade 1 or lower rear guard, and you can put this card back in your hand. So if you soul charge her, no big deal. You just pop one of your units and put it back to your hand. For example, if you use all your Enigmatic Assassins and you have no way to get her back to your soul, then just pop it and add this to your hand. It's pretty good. You pretty much got your Enigmatic Assassin out for free anyway, so not really a big deal. And counter blasting in this deck, it's not as heavy as some other decks, so we don't really need to run the Perfect Art G. Or the unflip Perfect card. For triggers, we're running 8 crit, 4 stands. A stand, it helps you draw, and also helps you countercharge. It's basically Flying Librarian except a stand trigger, and helps you reuse your Scharhrot Vampir attack again. So also not bad for that. And of course, we're running 4 heals because heals. Let's move on to the G zone because G zone's pretty fun. So we're running 1 Scharhrot, which some people might disagree with, but personally, I think he's a double-edged sword, and there are some occasions where you need to use him twice, but it's not. I'd rather not. He's kind of like an inferior version of Gilderai, except his upside is that you can retire opponent's field, but that's pretty much it. You can also reuse your enigmatic assassins if you really need to, so that's also good. But his skill is Generic 2 Darkness, kind of +1 when this card attacks. You don't pay the cost. You do choose put all your rear guards into your soul, and you also lose all your units, so that's not very good. During this battle, this card gets plus 10,000 power, and if you have 10 or more soul, your opponent cannot retire all your opponent's rear guards, and if you have 15 more soul, then your opponent cannot call Sentinels to the Guardian Circle. So he's I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this guy. There are occasions where I really like him, but most of the time I just want to use Gilderai instead. If your opponent overcommits to the board, then you can punish them with this card. But if you have like the same amount of rear guards as your opponent on the field, then it's probably not the best to use this card. So most of the time you're going to use this card mid-game. Like for your second stride, you might use them to just punish your opponent. And then later on, you're just gonna try into Gilderai to try to finish your opponent, because Gilderai, especially comboed with Enigmatic Assassin, you can hit for extremely big numbers that your opponent has a hard time guarding with, even with G Guardians. So yeah, I just prefer to run Gilderai over Scharhrot. There are cards that you can run in place to run extra Scharhrots if you want. And another one of them is a request. Since we're running 2, you can take one of these out for a Scharhrot, but I also really like a request, so don't need to explain him because I ran him in my Blade Wing deck. I run 1 Blade Wing Stride. Helps you, again, since we are running Blade Wing Sullivan, he helps you sort of refresh your deck a bit, just so you can live a little bit longer. And the plus 10k to your front row is also nothing to scoff at. Combo it with Vampir again, and it's pretty good. And running 1 Frederick. Also ran this in Big Wing, so I don't really explain him. But I guess you don't have to run him, but it's just an option. And running her as maybe your first ride. So her skill is when this card attack. Wait, actually, I ran her also. But basically, if you hit, you can draw a card, and it also helps you slow charge. If you don't think your opponent's gonna let you hit, you might want to stride into him first. And running 1 Sea Breeze, because Sea Breeze isn't actually that important in this deck, so you can actually take him out for a Scharhrot if you want. But it's better to be safe than sorry, so running Sea Breeze. G Guardian's running 1 of the hand swap. We don't need to run Screw or Dismal, since there's nothing super important you need to protect. And hand swapping is kind of nice, just in case you have some dead cards in your hand, you can just get rid of it with this. And just draw for another card, more useful card, hopefully. Next, running 2 of the Dark Irregulars, Vanguard G. So 20k guard, it's pretty good. And running 2 of these. This card is good because pretty much near the end game, you're almost going to always have 10 more soul. So it's almost always a 25k guard. So running 2 of these. So most of the time you're going to use these early game to help you soul charge, and late game you're going to use these to just help you, you know, guard, help you live. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this Scharhrot deck. I don't know. A lot of people like this guy. A lot of people hate this guy. I'm kind of like, about him. He's not terrible, but he's not one of the best GRs ever. I would appreciate him more if he got extra critical, but I guess some people might think he's gonna be too good. I don't think so, but I don't know, maybe. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Karataku, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!